We've made a simple model of a mountainous land area using 2 pieces of scrap paper, some tape, and water-soluble markers, as you can see here. This area represents thousands of square miles. We're going to use this model to explore the idea of a watershed. I'm going to give you a definition of a watershed. A watershed is a land area that drains to the low points. Again, a watershed is a land area that drains to the low points. So, if that's true, what marks the edges or boundaries of our watershed? That would be the high points or ridges, right? This marks the exterior boundary of our watershed, and then we have high points or ridges inside that make smaller watersheds. Now, what are the large parts of this watershed? Well, we have high points here in dark brown and interior high points in the light brown here. We have blue where the water drains in the watershed. We have orange squares here to represent farms, purple hashtags to represent cities, red stars to represent abandoned mines, and finally, green triangles to represent forests. But what is this white area around here? Well, let's remember the definition of a watershed. A watershed is a land area that drains to the low points. So the white would be the land area, right? And that's part of the watershed too. Our watersheds, like this system we've been examining, interact with our local water cycle too, right? Let's see what happens when we make it rain on our model. As you watch the water flow, you can see the different relationships between the parts of our model, like the forests and the mines and the cities. Let's check it out. What is the relationship between high points and low points? Water flows from high points to low points, right? And that's why the water has collected in here. This is called water runoff. Runoff is water that flows over the land's surface. Did any of our cities flood? Looks like this one's flooded a little bit over here, but not too bad. But we see that water flowed from the farms and the mines, and even the cities, into our water here. That could bring pollutants with it, like pesticides and fertilizers from the farms, or pollution from our city streets, or even things like mercury from mine drainage. We can also see that water has flowed from our forests down into our water. That's okay if forests are healthy, but when we have forest fires, we can get soot that flows down into our water. We have one final question. When we talk about watershed management, what are we really managing? It's really the land area that we're managing, right? So we manage things like forest fires that prevent soot from getting into our water supply. We also manage the pollution on our city streets so that that doesn't get into our water. We practice watershed management to maintain a clean and plentiful water supply for the future. All of us are responsible for the watersheds that we live and recreate in. What can you do to help?